Your buddy's 10-speed 5.0 Mustang just took your Stage 2 STI on a one-way, all-expenses-paid first-class trip to Japan, and now you're at home figuring out your next move. After Googling the price of an IAG short block and rotated turbo kit, and realizing you may have to sell a body part or three to purchase these, your mind wanders to this question. What is the fastest car that I can pick up for right on about the same money as a modern STI that will absolutely disrespectfully gap anything else on the road? We'll enter the Porsche 911 Turbo, specifically the 996 generation. This space shuttle from Stuttgart goes toe-to-toe with anything from modern muscle up to today's supercars for less than you might think. First off, let's get into the specs here, but we're pretty convinced that one of the Porsche engineers had access to some form of time machine, because the 996 Turbo was so far ahead of its time it's not even funny. In 2001, the boys over in Stuttgart dropped this bombshell on the world. A 3.6-liter flat-six engine, which means the pistons move sideways instead of up and down. They attached two Bavarian boosty boys to the sides of this thing and cranked out 420 horsepower. Nice. They then mated this up to a 6-speed manual or 5-speed automatic that no one wanted or bought, transmission, and a robust all-wheel drive system, and slapped this package into the finest sports car in the world. This bad boy got fitted up with wider fenders in the front and the rear, and some special rear ducting on the quarter panels to bring air into the newly added intercoolers. The front bumper got a similar treatment, getting giant left and right side grills to suck in even more air to feed the hungry 3.6. The rear deck lid gets an automatically extending rear spoiler over 75 miles an hour, so that when you absolutely blow past someone on the freeway, your wing can flip them off. Then, all the standard 911 stuff. Stiff chassis, Brembo brakes, driver connected handling, blah 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 blah, you know what a 911 does. Finally, Porsche topped the whole package off with the awesome turbo twist wheels as a nod to the turbos of the past. All of this came together into the 996 911 Turbo Coupe, which blasted to 60 miles an hour in 4.2 seconds and topped out at 180 miles an hour out of the box. Not good enough for you? Well, in 2005, the boys at Porsche turned things up just a little more, to about 450 PS, which in good old American horsepower is right around, well, 450. It does 0 to 60 in about the same time, but tops out at 191 miles an hour this time. The Turbo S is basically the X50 power kit, an option for the base turbo, that gives it larger K24 turbos and intercoolers, but now you get a cool badge to flex on all your friends. So what makes the 996 Turbo so good? Well, you're probably saying 450 horsepower, that ain't shit. I can go get me a 5.0 Mustang and make about the same right out of the box. Well, while you can, you're not taking a well-built turbo to Gapplebee's just like that. See, the 996 Turbo was massively over-engineered. When the boys at Porsche put together the Mezger engine, they had a few tricks up their sleeves. Hans Mezger was the head of racing car development in the 1970s for Porsche, engineering the 917 and 935s for Porsche's racing program. Anyway, Hans built the first production 911 that all future 911 engines were modeled after. When Porsche moved to water cooling in the 996 generation, the Mezger engines were largely phased out, except in the turbo models. There are a bunch of odds and ends that make these things run so well, but TLDR, the boys in Bavaria built an engine that could safely run at 450 horsepower forever, but could definitely handle much more. The general consensus is that the unit in the 996 Turbo is good for anywhere between 700 to 800 all-wheel horsepower on the stock bottom end. Now this is going to vary shop to shop, tuner to tuner, but even at 700 horses, that's a whole lot of ponies. Now consider this package is stuffed into a 3,500-pound car, the picture starts to come together. Top this all off with the fact that this thing is the Grip Reaper with that all-wheel drive system, and you can probably see why the 996 Turbo is just that good. So how do you modify one? Well, you took the plunge, traded in your STI, ate the 20 grand in negative equity, and got yourself into a shiny new 20-year-old 911. Now what? Well, before you start turning things up, better make sure all your maintenance is done. The Mezger 3.6 may be a bulletproof engine, but that doesn't compensate for years of neglect. The best thing to do on these, or any car really, is take care of your fluids first. These are easy and are cheap insurance. Now, two big failure points on this engine: the IMS bearing, which you just give to a shop, give them some money and they fix it, or buy one with the IMS already done, like most of them are, and the turbo coolant pipe, which is another issue that can lead to complete engine failure. Most of these cars have been around long enough and modified enough to have the serious issues addressed, but your mileage may vary. Next up, we're going to take a look at your tires. When buying an older car, especially one commonly modified like the 996 Turbo, you run a real serious risk of this thing making it to you on decade-old tires. The previous owner probably swapped out those stock wheels for something more exciting and left the stock tires on them to rot in a dusty corner of their garage. If your specific example needs tires, this is a great time to upgrade your wheel and tire setup with something new. This is a serious German sports car and it deserves a serious rim and tire setup. Our top picks here. Well, number 1, the Heritage Wheel Stuttgart. Modeled after the OEM Porsche turbo wheels, these are a subtle OEM Plus upgrade that look perfectly at home at the 996 Turbo. The Forgestar F14 is a budget-conscious option that doesn't skimp on performance. And lastly, we're going to talk about the Rohana RFX2. This is an awesome-looking street-oriented wheel that comes in a deep concave finish in the rear that just sets the 996 off. Last, but certainly not least, Porsche and BBS go together like peanut butter and jelly. We're fans of the BBS LM, but if you want to go a little bit more race-inspired, the E88 is a great choice too. Specs are easy peasy lemon squeezy. Just give our fitment experts a ring and they'll dial things in for you. Generally, you want to target something to the tune of 18x9 and 18x11, but this can vary based on your application, power goals, and what you do with the car. Now, when it comes to tires, stock is pretty good, all things considered. Depending on what widths you choose for the wheels, you'll be running anywhere from a 225 to a 245 up front and a 295 to 315 out back. Now, in terms of tire brands and models, we'll make it easy here. You've got a couple of choices depending on what you do, so we'll break them down by use case. Street, the Pilot Sport 4S. This is the gold standard. There's no reason to run anything else. These are grip monsters in the dry, safe enough in the wet, and last a long time for a performance tire, coming with a 30,000 mile factory warranty. For road course or drag racing, Pilot Sport Cup 2s or Toyo R888Rs. Depending on your power level, you may overpower the Cup 2, but they are slightly more streetable. The R888R is for when you're making some serious jam and want to hook up. Downside to either of these is that they are not safe in wet weather. I don't care what anyone tells you, driving on our comps in the rain is a pucker moment. If you've got a 996 Turbo and you want to get it right on wheels and tires, you know the place, baby, 3piece.us. So are you sick of our sales pitch on wheels and tires and want to get into the action on making the power? Let's run through things. Power is easy enough on these cars. For a mild build, you're going to want intakes, something like Fab Speed, downpipes from the boys over at Soul Performance, and a catback, or where the cat used to be if you decide to go that route, EPA, don't call me, exhaust. Some intercoolers, usually in 997.2 units, work well, and a tune from a reputable tuner using a Cobb access port, not some guy off Facebook Marketplace with a laptop. This is going to get you into the mid 400s in terms of all-wheel horsepower, which is not too shabby for a fun daily driver. Want to take things to the next level? Well, you need some supporting mods to get there. Fueling is the first step. Upgrade to the bigger pump of your choice, usually a Walbro 450 or something similar is the way to go. Now, injector size is going to depend on what you and your tuner agree on for your specific use case, but you definitely need some bigger boys there, that's for sure. For the clutch, do it once and do it right with a unit that can hold some serious sauce. Any aftermarket clutch, once you get to the 700 wheel horsepower range, is going to suck to drive, so buy one that is rated for above your horsepower level so you have some headroom before it starts slipping. Your intakes and exhaust from the bolt-on build should be suitable, but in some cases, you may need to go a little larger on the intake side. We'd also recommend an upgraded plenum from IPD once you get north of 600 ponies, just to give you a little more airflow on that same intake side. Now, turbo-wise, there are billet wheel K16s, which are an upgraded version of the stock turbo. There are also the K24s out of the Turbo S, which make even more power than that, and there are K24 18G turbos, which are modified OEM Turbo S K24 units that suck in quite a bit more air. Then for those of the truly unhinged variety, you can slap on twin GT3076 and try to send a rod to meet God. There are a lot of other options that, again, your tuner can consult with you on, but generally the K16s are good for around 500 at the crank, the K24 is 550, the K24 18G 600, and then to go north of 600, you really do need the GT3076s or something similar. Boost can be managed with the wastegates of your choice, usually tile is the pick here, and blow-off bypass valve is a personal preference thing that, again, you want to consult your tuner on. Anyway, you slice it at this point, it's not hard to hit 700 plus all-wheel horsepower, which should, if you know how to drive it, be good for a deep 10-second in the quarter. So what do you think? Would you pick up a 996 Turbo and let those Bavarian boosty boys sing, or is this one a hard pass for you? Let me know down in the comments below, and if there's another car that you'd like to see us do a how to modify video on, drop it again down in the comments and we'll get it on the list. As always, if you have a 996 Turbo or any car with 3, 4, 5, 7, 10 wheels under the sun, add it to our vehicle gallery, and be sure to check out threepiece.us for that fresh new set of kicks that your car has been waiting for. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.